Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. My name is SpectreBull, and welcome to the Gaming Talks Grab Bag. This week, I want to focus on a game that's been sort of eating up my time this last week. This is Infernax. Now, I don't know how many of you have played Castlevania, but this game is very heavily inspired by one of the Castlevania games, specifically Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest. It was an NES game, came out in 1989, I believe, and has been both famous and infamous because of its sort of open world design in a way. So the thing about Simon's Quest was you weren't really given much of a direction, whereas the previous Castlevania, it was very linear. You pretty much had a path to go down. You had some sense of direction, right? Simon's Quest kind of let you loose, but never really gives you a direction to go. Infernax is sort of like that, except it gives you more of a sense of where you need to go, while also letting you loose in some way. It restricts you while also giving you some freedom, so it finds a balance between the first Castlevania and then Simon's Quest. You play as Lord Alcidor? I don't know how to really say it, but you play as this guy, and you find out that there's been some weird activity going on at night. You know, people are turning into demons or zombies or whatever, and there's a lot of death. A lot of gruesome ways for you to die, right? And it doesn't get any complicated than that. Like, you really just go around bashing dudes in the head with your mace, and you can block with your shield by sort of just running into things or crouching when appropriate. But if you're aware of how retro games usually work, there's not a lot of comboing or anything of the sort. It's not a super complicated game to play. You can anyone can really pick this up and get a hold of it. You jump, you attack, you block. That's pretty much it. There's nothing more to it than that. But the experience itself is amazing. It's spectacular. I love it. As you explore, you'll come across villages, right? And that's where you'll get a bunch of quests, and they'll tell you, hey, you need to go down into this area. They don't mark things on your map, you know, like Preston Garvey or whatever. A lot of your time in Infernax is going to be spent doing side quests, not just the main stuff. And this is, I think, where Infernax really flourishes. You'll get some quests that are very basic. Go defeat this boss. Go take out this camp of bandits or cultists or whatever, right? But what it does is a lot of these are sort of revolved around choices. And I know this is sort of an eye-rolly thing because it's like, oh, player choice. Yeah, a lot of games usually do this and it amounts to nothing. Infernax, on the other hand, does give you purpose in your choices. They want you to believe that there's some hope for these guys, only to sort of turn it around and be like, nah, man, this dude's nuts. And there are some choices where they make it very clear which is the good and which is the bad choice. And depending on what you choose, you can get a new spell, you can get gold, you know, like every other quest. But you can find some value in these quests. So, for example, there's this one quest very early on in the game where you find a camp of very creepy looking dudes, right? And they're sitting outside this guy's shop, and you go inside, you talk to the shopkeeper, and he's like, I haven't been able to get these guys to leave, and they're really freaking me out, man. You go and talk to them, and then you're left to the choice. Do you join them for a night of drinking and talking, chatting the night away, or do you tell them to beat it? I, unfortunately, joined them for a night of drinking, and I woke up the next morning to the shopkeeper missing. It ended up getting me a new spell, but now I kind of have to wonder, well, what would have happened if I left the shopkeeper, if I had done what the shopkeeper had asked me to? So there are a lot of interesting scenarios like that. Some that are more destructive than that, but you really get a sense that, oh, the world has changed just a little bit from me doing that. And that's where I think a lot of Infernax's charm sort of comes in. It really lets you paint Lord Alcidor the way that you want to. So if you want to make him a total butt munch, you can do that. But if you want to play the good guy, you can also do that. There are actually achievements tied to doing nothing but good and nothing but bad choices. So if you're a trophy hunter like me, yeah, you're probably going to want to go for those. So that's another thing. This game does require a few playthroughs in order to see all of the endings. There are multiple endings. There are a handful of spells for you to find. There are a lot of secrets, and the bosses are somewhat difficult. Not super difficult like Shovel Knight was, or any of the Dark Souls bosses, but it still gets challenging, and like Castlevania levels of challenging. Which, if you know Castlevania, you know how hard those bosses can get. The platforming as well, I have to say, is really tough. It can get really tough at times. Not so much as to where you have to be absolutely perfect, but just enough to where you really need to time your jumps well, or else you're going to end up wasting a life. Which, let me briefly talk about that. This game has a very interesting take on difficulty, where they really want you to play the way they intended it to, but they also offer a casual difficulty. The casual difficulty is you get more checkpoints, enemies aren't as aggressive, that sort of thing. The classic mode, on the other hand, is very much you need to play this as if you are playing Castlevania, where you're not going to have a lot of checkpoints in between. You are going to have to grind out for XP and, you know, ranking up your stats and everything. It's going to demand quite a bit. And it sort of teases you too, right? So when you start out the game, you don't get any chances to really respawn, right? If you die, you have to go back to the last checkpoint. But this is where the game kind of lets you decide on how hard you want to make it, right? So you can go through the whole game and try and do this in one sitting, right? You're gonna make yourself mad, most likely, but that's gonna be like the old school approach. But there are hearts you can buy throughout the game that will allow you to have a sort of live system, for lack of a better term, where you die. Okay, you died, and then you get sent back to, like, the start of that section. So you die in a dungeon, you go 3 rooms in, you die in the 4th room. It's not going to send you back all the way to the last checkpoint you did. It's going to just set you back at the beginning of that 4th room. So it's more forgiving than I'm making it sound. Anyways, there's not really much more to really say about this game. I really do recommend you go check it out. If you want to try it out for yourself, I would recommend, if you have an Xbox, get Xbox Game Pass, and you can play it for no additional charge. So you just throw the 10 or 15 bucks depending on what package you get, and you can try it out for yourself and not have to worry about spending the extra money. But if this is a game that looks right up your alley, it is available right now on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and Steam for $19.99 USD. I highly recommend it. It's probably going to end up on one of my Games of the Year lists. I don't really like talking about that stuff, but I'm very confident in this one. This game's just been eating away at me for the last week, and I love it. I've been booting it up every single night, doing some exploring, killing some baddies, trying to find the next dungeon. It's so cool. It's so cool. But anyways, my name is SpectreBull. This has been your Gaming Talks Grab Bag of the Week. I wish you all a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on the next episode of Gaming Talks Grab Bag.